Hi guys, this is Dan. Welcome to Angle Guys. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. And for those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much. This is the monthly forecast for the sign of Sagittarius. It is for anybody with a sun, moon, or rising in the sign of Sagittarius. You may want to watch this. It could indicate what type of a month you could be having for the month of June. Take what you need and leave the rest. It is a broad spectrum reading, therefore I speak in broad terms. If you have heavily placed planets, which would be 3 or more, would be considered heavily placed, then you may want to watch this. It could, if they're heavily placed in the sign of Sagittarius, it could indicate what type of a June you will be having. You can also watch your sun, moon, and rising and kind of get a cross-section idea of what might be happening, conflicting, or whatever. This first card is the sort of the guide card or the signifier. It sort of tells me sort of what we might want to be paying attention to, focusing on, or sort of nurturing within ourselves as we move through this month. I'm using the Animal Spirit Guide Oracle from Kim Kranz, and we're going to see what Sag's spirit guide animal is for this month of June. Let's see. Oh, you guys get tarantula. Interesting. Big deadly spider, Sag. To me, spiders indicate like weaving. There's in the Native American medicine cards, there's the story about how the spider created the alphabet. I think about sort of spiders in their work with webs. Tarantula, I don't actually know if tarantulas have webs. They must, but I don't think that they're like traditional in the sense because they're such big spiders. I think they live in like holes and on the forest floor. They are deadly, right? So I would be careful not to mess with the Sages. But I know that also tarantulas can be quite, friendly if not provoked. So part of me feels like there's a little bit of a warning with this card for my Sages where it's like, don't get up under my skin or else you could get bitten. There is this sort of skill and, deftness that I get with spiders just in general, how they weave their webs and they sort of work in their lives. They're great. I don't know why I'm saying this, but this could be a month where you're getting rid of certain things that you don't sort of need. And the reason why I'm saying that is they're sort of great, like they eat other insects. Most spiders kind of help to maintain the insect population. And so I would imagine tarantula does that in its own way with probably larger insects. So there might be an opportunity to kind of clean up our situation, our area, our life in a way. It's the feeling that I'm getting from this card. And in doing that, those around us may need to be sort of careful because they don't want the tarantula to sort of strike or to protect itself, right? Usually Sag, being a mutable sign, can be pretty fun-loving, easygoing, and that would be tarantula in its natural state, where it's, kind of walks softly and maybe even feels a little fuzzy and cute in its own little weird 8-legged way. But if you fuck with it, it'll lay you to waste kind of thing. So we don't want to piss off that fiery nature of Sag, even though they usually tend to be more easy going, right? So let's get into the cards and see what's going on, and maybe they might explain further why tarantula is the focus for this month. So this first card is your center. It kind of shows me where you're centered at. It tells me a bit about sort of where your focus is, not only in the now, but also what you could potentially be creating for the future. So this card this was the exact same card for Leo. That's weird. So it's the 9 of Pentacles. Lots of independence, lots of stability, lots about focus on money, our home life, getting things in order, making sure that everything that we're dealing with or that we're working on is serving us and serving us well, Sag. That also is sort of keys into this tarantula energy where I feel like everything's peaceful until you piss tarantula off. So we want to make sure that we keep things in even keel, and that seems to be Sag's focus this month, especially with this 9 of Pentacles in the center. It's about listening maybe to our own voice versus the voices of others. That could be bosses, partners, family members, that sort of thing. It's like Sag is in charge this month. Sag is going to be the one that makes all of the sort of important decisions, especially when it comes to like financial matters or material scenarios in our world, right? So if there's any decisions to be made around money, work, the home, Sag is going to be the one that's going to be in charge of it. If it gets challenged, I would be careful. Those who want to challenge a Sag, if there's any cross watchers here that are wanting to watch on behalf of their Sag counterparts, if you are thinking about possibly, rustling their feathers or shaking their foundations, first off, they're probably not going to be too shakeable with this Nine of Pentacles in the center, but they're not going to take kindly to it either. Does that make sense? This Nine of Pentacles is very independent, very much has worked hard for what they have and where they're at, and are continuing to focus on that hard work. So if you're feeling neglected by a Sag or whatever, don't, don't try and, use that as an argument for why you need their attention. They're working on something that's quite important to them, and it's going to be for the betterment of them and everybody else as a whole. But you have to just trust that. The next card is the Foundation. This tells me a bit about the past and what was going on in the past that opened the door for everything to be the way that it is for Sag. So this card can also be the memory of this experience, can be what is holding everything in place or driving everything into the future. So let's see what this is. So we have the Hanged Man. This is Piscean energy. So this is major arcana. There's a big decision that was, how do I want to say this? There was a big sort of lesson, let's say, maybe not a decision, but more of a lesson that needed to be made. I don't know if the decision fully got made with the Hanged Man here. Some of you could still be in this indecision or in this feeling of being stuck. But I imagine it felt worse in the past, or you felt more hindered, more unable to move. With this Nine of Pentacles, to me, it feels like that movement has begun in probably late May, early June, where we get to sort of like almost upright ourselves and feel somewhat in control of what's going on around us. We maybe didn't necessarily feel in control. There could have been outside influences or things that were going on around us that were making us feel sort of stuck, trapped, or something to that effect. This would be a rather obvious situation, something that we can't necessarily work our way around or avoid, right? It's in our face. The thing with the Hanged Man, and it's emotional too, because it is that Piscean energy, but we are emotionally connected to it. But there is like some sort of a spiritual awareness that comes out of this, right? That's the key with the Hanged Man, is that we have to hang there until we kind of come to that understanding and that deep sort of spiritual awareness that, oh, indeed, we can now move on. We have all the information we need. We've experienced what we need to learn here. It's time to sort of take the next steps. So with this being as the Foundation, I'm not mad at it because it's major arcana, but it does feel like we might be reluctant to move with this Pentacles energy in our center. Pentacles is a slower energy. It's more grounded. I feel like this is a great card to have as your center. But if you're choosing to make decisions around money, home, finance, relationships, whatever, you might find yourself slightly reluctant to make any swift decisions or jump at anything just yet with these two cards at play. Even though this Hanged Man is something that happened in the past, the energy or the reluctance to move, the inability to maybe feel as though you can move as freely as you would like, still lingers, right? With this, there could have been an emotional either connection or like an emotional experience that may have happened from the last time you felt like maybe you made the wrong decision, or you made a decision where you ended up getting somewhat stuck in something that it took you some time to get out of. Some awareness had to be learned before you could move forward again. So you may be reluctant to want to do that to yourself again for fear. So you're probably trying to be grounded and practical about what decisions you are making moving forward. And so that could also be sort of the slow moving nature of Tarantula too, where he's feeling around with his 8 little feet, like kind of feeling all of the environment, checking all of the environment before moving forward, right? So there's that aspect to Tarantula too that's now kind of keying into these cards for me. So we might be putting out our sensitive little feeler feet, like, is this the right step? Is this, I don't know, you know, we've got this sort of little bit of unsure. It's not that it's unsure, it's just that we need to know, or we needed to know in the past, everything. We needed to have the awareness of all of the facts before we could move on. Okay. And so that's what's sort of going on there. Let's go to the higher self card and see what's going on up there. See what our higher self is wanting us to look at or learn about. So we have the Seven of Cups. So talk about a little bit of trying to stay grounded in the midst of some maybe emotional confusion and turmoil. The Seven of Cups would be that emotion, the element of water and the emotions, right? Which is the cups. The Seven of Cups can be one too many options or one too many sort of choices and not being sure which choice to make. Again, we also see that reluctance or the inability to make a choice here in the past. I kind of feel like although you are being present in the now and trying to show up, it's almost like when I look at these cards, it's like emotionally, my Sagittarius may not necessarily feel all there or able to make really great choices right now, but financially is your focus, or trying to get your life in order in a physical sort of space versus the emotional stuff you'll deal with after, if that makes any sense for some of you. You will get there, Sag. It just sort of feels to me like you might feel some emotional confusion that you need to deal with. That's why this is showing up in the spirit space. It's almost to me like your higher self is telling you, all right, Sag, it's time to kind of look at the whole like broad range of whatever it is that you've been kind of maybe putting off and not wanting to feel. And you've maybe been putting it off for some time, so much so that it debilitated you in the past a considerable amount. And so now that you're beginning to move forward, there's a new day dawning or a new hope, a new opportunity, new sort of possibility here where we feel independent, we feel capable of moving forward. But to really move forward, our spirit might be saying to us, okay, but what about this? What about the elephant in the room? What about the thing that you haven't looked at? What about the feelings that kind of you haven't dealt with just yet? It's not that it's a bad thing to have not have dealt with them, but they kind of need to be dealt with so that you can really move forward with the intention and all of the possibility that this Nine of Pentacles really has to offer you. Does that make sense? So you'll create so much more success by addressing some of this stuff that maybe you've been avoiding or feeling constricted by in some way, shape, or form. It may not be as bad as it was, right? But there's still something that's, you know, needs to be addressed or looked at, and it's gonna dog you or if you keep like avoiding it. And it's dogged you in the past too, in a much bigger, more profound way, but it has not completely gone away. All right, so the next two cards are the outside influences. These are things that are influencing you either positively or negatively in the month of June. They can be people, sometimes events, sometimes things more vague like belief systems or energies that are having an effect on you. So let's see what those are. One is the Page of Swords. Who was this? This was in the same position for somebody else's reading. I feel like it was one of the water signs. And then the other, I'm just going to look at both. These are both the same. I feel like these were in Pisces reading in the exact same position. And you have Pisces down here. That's weird. All right, so pages, because they're court cards, they usually represent people outside of ourselves. This could be a younger person, male or female. Usually of the air sign variety, doesn't have to be, but it, you know, swords would indicate air sign or heavily placed air placements. Somebody very mental, somebody that's not necessarily maybe say your equal, somebody that might be kind of in need of learning, teaching, schooling, guidance, that sort of a thing. That would be the page for them. This person, it's funny how her head is turned away and their head is turned away. Like their bodies are towards one another, yet their heads are turned away from one another. I wish I could remember what was the central card for Pisces. These were in the exact same placement as Pisces. It's really weird as the outside influences. All right, so with the page, to me, the Page of Swords always kind of requires further investigation. Pages can sometimes bring new messages with them, but when I look at this, this to me feels like there's no love lost between these two people, between my Sag, where my Sag is at right now, and where this Page is at right now. If those of you that are in a relationship with somebody that is of an air sign variety or a younger person than you, somebody that maybe isn't taking things maybe as seriously, they're not being as productive as you, they might be being more playful, more childlike, all of that sort of stuff, there might be a sort of a separation happening or some sort of a choice that's happening here. I can see that sort of reluctance to make that choice in the past, and also the emotional confusion at the spiritual level where we might be challenged by that. Are you ready to deal with that, though, Sag? That's the question. I don't know. On the other side of the coin here, we have the Hermit. The Hermit would be about sort of spiritual enlightenment through going inward. Now, if this Hermit, it's associated with the sign of Virgo, right? But it is major arcana, so it's a bigger lesson. It's a deeper learning. It's a more intelligent sort of form of person, if it is a person. It could be somebody that's deeply spiritual, somebody that's sort of withdrawn, somebody that you may not have close contact with. They could be far away, both either physically via distance, or they could be far away, just sort of somebody you don't see very often or hear from very often. But I feel like the draw is between these two. Like he's facing her, she's facing him. Although the body is over here with this Page of Wands or Page of Swords, which to me, if this Page of Swords is not a person outside of ourselves, somebody that we might be entertaining or involved with, this could be romantically, business-wise, it could be a family member that's giving us trouble, or not trouble per se, but like we're not on the same wavelengths with them. They require a little bit more work out of us or a little bit more guidance from us. And right now, I feel like with the independence of this Nine of Pentacles, my Sagittarius may not really want to have to carry the slack for this person, if that makes sense. And they're looking, I don't know, it's weird. It sort of feels like they're looking more for somebody to guide them versus be the guide. If this is not a person, if this is an energy, or say in a situation, this would be a situation that ideally Sag could potentially learn some new awarenesses around ways of seeing things or thinking about things that could maybe lead them to hopefully dealing with some of this unresolved emotion and maybe doing some of this deeper work that the Hermit requires, or seeking out some sort of guidance from somebody that is more sort of maybe spiritually evolved, self-aware, that sort of a thing. And ultimately, finding this person is going to have a much bigger impact for this Nine of Pentacles. We also have this Hanged Man down here where I said, I don't know if we got the sort of answer that we need yet to be able to move forward. That answer could come from this Hermit, in the sense that the spiritual awareness that the Hermit carries might be the exact spiritual awareness that my Sag has been needing since feeling stuck, since that time in their past. Things have maybe gotten easier or more adaptable, but the emotions aren't necessarily fully there yet, or changed, solved, or figured out. The choices, it's almost like, to me, I feel like the clear choice for Sag has been to focus, okay, let's focus on the money, let's focus on the job, let's focus on getting the house in order. We can handle those things, we can manage those things. But are you the only one that's managing them? Are you carrying like somebody else's weight on your back that you're not interested in carrying anymore, is kind of the feeling that I'm getting there. So possibly you might need to renegotiate these terms, either with this situation or this person. And it feels like in some ways you've been maybe avoiding that, or not wanting to deal with that, for the confusion, and also with the Hanged Man here. All right, let's look at the outcome and see sort of what is going on with the outcome. I want to look at this Hanged Man, just because I'm nosy, because I'm a nosy bitch. Let's see what the Hanged Man has to tell us. What's going on with this Hanged Man card for Sag in the past? What is the reluctance? Why is the non-movement? So we have the Ace of Swords. There's a truth there that needs to be found. There's some sort of charitable act happening where, and then the Two of Wands. I feel like this is about Sag being aware of the truth that they desire something or someone or someplace else. And out of maybe doing an obligation of doing the right thing, they are maybe staying put or staying where they have been to maintain sort of like a sense of balance and even keeledness. And it's funny, the Six of Pentacles, it makes it feel like whatever Sag has been doing or maybe holding off on, not making any big decisions, has enabled them to get into this position of the Nine of Pentacles, which allows them to sort of start to see the fruits of their labor and understand that they are making strides maybe in a financial, physical area, but there's still something that's not right emotionally, and something is not right here. They're seeking a little bit more of what this Hermit may have to offer versus whatever they're dealing with in these Page of Swords situations or with these people. Just gonna look a little bit more. Just because I am nosy. Let's see what's up with this Hermit. Come on, Hermit. So we've got the Queen of Pentacles, which would be like the Divine Feminine, the King of Cups, and the Devil. Ooh, shit. All right, so we have the Queen of Pentacles, the King of Cups, right? And then we have the Devil. And I think that honestly, I'm going to be real honest here, and this might only be for a particular Sag or two out there. I feel like this Hermit, I do feel like there's something going on between this three-way of people that's happening here, even though this is a Nine of Pentacles. I feel like this is my Sag here in the center. I feel like this is somebody or some situation, a family member, whatever. If it's a romantic paramour, whatever it is, it's not working out anymore. They're not on your level, is my feeling. They're not necessarily holding their own weight. You've been carrying them, or you're certainly carrying them now. I feel like my Sag maybe doesn't necessarily feel tied to them anymore, nor do they feel tied to the Sag. But neither has fully left yet. That's why their body positions are turned towards one another. I feel like there's somebody or something, some sort of intelligence, spiritual awareness that's waiting over here for Sag. Sag is aware of it and wants it, is trying to find a way to get to it, and it's trying to find its way to get to Sag. But will that happen? Now, the reason why Sag hasn't moved or why the body is still positioned this way is when I look at this Hermit, what does this Hermit represent? Well, underneath this, it's very interesting to me because we have the Queen of Pentacles and we have the King of Cups. The Queen of Pentacles and Cups are opposite one another. They're complementary to one another. It's earth and water. They go well together, right? We have sort of this Queen of Pentacles could be Virgo energy, right? She's like the divine feminine. The King of Cups would be Pisces energy or a water sign energy. To me, this could be like the divine masculine. These two sort of coming together could represent for Sag something very scary, which i.e. would be the devil. Is this something, or is this a combination or a connection? This, what that the spiritual awareness or whatever this sort of this light that this Hermit holds, is this Sag? Oh, I think Sag might be aware of the depth or the importance of this and is fearful of becoming dependent upon it in some way. That would be the devil energy to me. That idea of, I don't know if I want to, if I were to go after it, if I were to attain it, would it be able to ultimately hurt me or harm me if it didn't work out? Or if, you know, it's almost like, to me, when I look at these three cards, it feels like Sag could be interpreting this as a carrot on a stick, right? In the sense that the Queen and the King feel right, it looks right, it feels connected, but that being so connected and right, could that put me in a vulnerable position where I could get hurt or be in bondage to it or require it or need it? And so Sag is maybe overthinking it a little bit, or looking too far ahead or too worried about it would be my feeling. Devil would be Capricorn energy. I feel like this Queen of Pentacles is giving me very definite sort of Virgo vibes. And then the King of Cups is giving me sort of that like Piscean water sign vibe. So there's like, I almost feel like these two connect very well, and there's a fear around that connection. I'm going to leave this there and look to the outcome. The potential outcome is sort of where this is heading for the Sages. This could be a situation too, if this is not something that like necessarily has to indicate romance, right? Although I do get some romance vibes between the Queen and the King. If this is not a romance, for those of you that are previously in a relationship or in a relationship and you're happy and you're like, I'm not like seeking to get out, I'm happy with my page or whomever I'm with, this could be a situation where it presents such a harmony. Like say it's a job, let's just use that as an example. Say this Hermit is sort of this job that you really want, that you think would inspire you and you deeply want it so badly, but you're fearful of going after it because it might feel like such a perfect fit that you would then be sort of nervous or afraid of either success, either failing at it or losing it, becoming a slave to it, it becoming all consuming, that kind of a vibe too. So this doesn't have to solely be romantic. This is a run here of, you have to figure out where this applies in your life, but there's something that you know in your gut, that's the route that I need to go. That's the route that's drawing me in. That's the route that has the most to offer me. But so much of it is on offer, and you can already sense it, that you're afraid of that offer. You're afraid of either fucking it up, losing it, or not making the most of it, becoming a slave to it, or vulnerable to it in a way that you're not really maybe comfortable with as of yet. Right now, the position that you're in is this independence. You only really answer to yourself. And if you're partnered with somebody else, or you're involved with, say, a business partner, a romantic partner, or family members, you don't necessarily see them on your level. You don't necessarily connect with them in that way, where it's almost like the disassociation that I feel that is in these two cards here has allowed for you to kind of hang here and not necessarily have to commit or do anything. But ultimately, somewhere in the past, you learned the truth of what it is you do desire. And that desire is scary, and it could be all consuming, is sort of my feeling with that Devil there, is that's the fear that Sag has. So it's like, it's almost like, you know, even though you're hungry, you choose to starve yourself, which is weird. It doesn't really make sense to me, but that's what Sag is doing here, or what I'm sort of seeing on the cards. All right, so the outcome card, this is a potential outcome. It tells us sort of where things might end up, barring that nothing major changes. It's not set in stone. If this is a negative card, you could use this as a warning to make choices and changes in your life to affect the outcome, right? But if this is a positive card and we want to see this happen, we can take heart in the fact that we're naturally heading towards it, and that we don't have to do much to change it, just keep sort of things moving at the status quo. So let's look. We have the Four of Cups. Who ended on the Four of Cups? Another sign ended on the Four of Cups, but I don't think it was Pisces. It's really weird because I would go back. Sagittarius, I would go and look at Pisces reading, only because I know that Hermit and Page of Swords were in the exact same positions as outside influences. And you have this Piscean energy, not only here in the Hanged Man as your driving force, but you also have the King of Cups over here. So there's definitely, and you have water influence up here. So there's definitely some sort of weird connection to that, I feel like. We're also ending out on the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups indicates to me that you guys aren't going to make a decision. He sits there under that tree a little bit sort of, I don't know, just like, this is sort of the same way that I'm interpreting it for this previous reading. I can't remember what sign it was, but I'm getting this vibe from him. Sometimes it can be about indecision or unwillingness, boredom even. But when I look at this, this to me feels like emotionally, is Sag willing to put themselves out there? To what they want, what they desire, how they feel in their higher self, their own higher self. Like when I look at this, this says to me that your own higher self is asking you, come on, Sag, let's deal with these emotions. Yeah, money, property, prestige is good, but there's something that's still like unresolved within you that you need to sort of come clear about, find clarity around, make an effort to either heal, solve, whatever the word is. Will you get there? Yes, you're getting closer to it with this Four of Cups, but there's still a reluctance here. Him sitting under that tree, it feels like he's a little bit reluctant to want to deal with his emotions. This could feel messy for my Sagittarius, and they may not want to like ruin the mess of, bring in the emotional mess that might be associated with some of this stuff for fear of messing up the path that they're on or the goals that they have. Because there's certainly financial, material goals that they have that like they see within their reach that they can produce. But ultimately will be the things that like necessarily pay off for them or make them feel great. I don't know. I kind of get a feeling that would be a big fat no, but I'm not 100% sure. Will you get closer there by month's end? Yes. Again, the Four of Cups is not set in stone, and we can like make more of an effort if we want to look at ourselves from this emotional perspective, look at where we're confused or where we're maybe not telling ourselves the truth, not looking at things honestly. I mean, we do have the Ace of Swords down here, which would be honesty. I'm gonna, just because I'm a nosy bitch, I want to look at this Seven of Cups. Sag is getting the full read down today. What is the Seven of Cups about? So we have the Seven of Pentacles. We have the Queen of Swords. We have the Tower. So there's been a lot of hard work put in, right? A lot of attention, a lot of patience put in. And the honest truth is, I feel like emotionally it's not there. That's the Queen of Swords, right? Because queens are cups and swords are intellect. And the heart and the mind are not matching up right now. That's also part of the reason why we see that Seven of Cups up there. And the Queen of Swords brings with her this sort of truth, right? She's this truth seeker, truth teller. She brings honesty with her. When we see the Tower up there, something needs to be dismantled. Something needs to come apart. And something is either on faulty foundations, and I think that Sag knows this. Sag has been aware of this for a while, and they're sort of hiding from it, maybe, reluctantly doing anything about it for fear of this sort of Tower moment that they don't want to experience or deal with. That could also be some of the fear of this devil, right? Like, I'm going to just clarify that Four of Cups. There's also an amount of work that's been put in when we see that Seven of Pentacles there that like, does it make it all for naught? Everything that we've been working towards on, everything that we've gone through thus far, that sort of poses that question. But the Queen of Swords is like, that doesn't matter. Like the truth is, does this line up? Is this your honest truth? And to me, with this Tower showing up, it's not your honest truth. We have the King of Pentacles. We have the Hermit. And we have the Emperor. Wow. 3 really powerful masculine cards right there. I love that we have the Queen of Pentacles down here on the Hermit. We have the King of Pentacles and then the Hermit on the King of Pentacles. Like it's like the King and the Queen want to come together around this Hermit. This energy, this spiritual connection, this depth of spirit. The Emperor ultimately says to me that like with these 3 power players at the end, what I feel like is going on underneath this Four of Cups is that the answer, Sag. You know what you need to do. You're reluctant because you're fearful of, sort of maybe creating upheaval, upset, drama. But ultimately, you sort of know the truth of what it is you want. You know the truth of what it is you need. You might be afraid of that because you don't necessarily maybe like that need aspect to all of this. That would be that devil energy. And to go after what it is that you want or that you desire, it's going to require you to address some things that are going on in your life that are needing to be changed and rearranged. And to do that, you're going to need the strength and action of the Emperor. You're going to need the wisdom and the spirituality of the Hermit and that sort of like deeper voice. And you're going to need all the manifestational power that you can possibly muster through the King of Pentacles. I think that these three work together to give you the strength to move forward through this Four of Cups and on to pursuing whatever this is that you do desire or that you do want, but it might take a little while. I don't know. I think it's all there. And then when I go back to this tarantula, I kind of think, interesting. Like this spider needs to weave its web, right? Like this spider needs to find its home. This spider needs to understand sort of like in some weird ways where it belongs. And it already knows that where it is isn't where it wants to be, even though it's trying to make the best of what it can. I love that the Hermit shows back up underneath that. Like the Four of Cups does say to me that this Hermit is calling. Whatever this Hermit is for you, Sag, it is calling you. So that is your forecast for the month of June. I suspect that Sag is in for a bit of a ride over the next few months, and the ride is all going to be sort of self-induced. It's like a fight against, not a fight against yourself, but it's really about sort of acknowledging what's true for you and what's going on, and then sort of moving towards that truth. Doing so, you might go a little bit reluctant towards the end of the month. Like you're not reluctant, but slowly, let's say, you know, trying to maintain an emotional stability around this. But I really get a feeling these three men will not be denied. I mean, these are three really powerful male character cards in here. So it's almost to me like I feel like they're asking you to step up into your role, like be your own daddy in a way. Take responsibility for your needs, your desires, your wants, the truth of that, and kind of start to begin to clear away the things that you're no longer connected to. I hope that makes sense. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful June. If you like this reading, please hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you feel so inclined. And I will be back in a moment to do Aries. And then ideally, hopefully later today, I will get to the earth signs. If not, then I will do them tomorrow afternoon. Because I'm enjoying the fact that I'm getting these done a little bit early in the month. So I hope, Sag, you have it figured out. I think that this is a really good time to really start to make sort of commitments to emotional clearings and your real goals, what it is that you really want. All right, you guys, take care, and I love you all. Have a great June. Bye-bye.